So, good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to this session, which is looking at the wider support services that we have at Strodes College. My name is Bernadette Jocelyn, and I'm the Vice Principal for Student Services, and you can see my picture there on the right. And tonight I'll be working with my colleague Naomi Bailey, our Head of Learner Services. Just a little word about how this presentation is going to work. So myself and Naomi will take in turns to present some key information about our wider services. So for about 15-20 minutes. And then at the end, we hope there'll be an opportunity for questions and answers. We also invite you to use our live chat facility as we go along, which my other colleagues will answer. And of course, if there's anything else Naomi and I can address, we will do so at the end. Just to say that I'm also very pleased that my colleague Alison Hiskett, who is our Learning Support Manager from Strodes College, is also on the live chat facility, and she can answer any questions throughout the presentation or at the end, and I think for a little bit beyond. We will be giving you her email address and contact details later on, so if there's anything more complex or particular, those can be picked up outside of our presentation. So, how do we support learners at Strodes College? What do we actually do? I'm sure many of you have heard our principal Amanda Downs' presentation about the college earlier on. And I think what is important to say in this discussion about the support services is that everybody at the college is committed to working together to ensure that all of our students are successful at the college. So this applies as much to the support services and the staff which I lead at the college as it does to our teachers, our curriculum staff. So a really holistic approach to supporting students. As you can see on this slide, all the support services work really hard, especially at the start of the student's journey at the college, even before they arrive, to ensure that they make a happy and effective transition to college, and that we can do everything possible to enable them from the very start by removing any barriers to learning wherever possible, so that they can focus on their studies and engage with learning from the very beginning. As you will see when we go through the individual support services in a moment, this could mean supporting students with perhaps travel advice or costs or other financial support. It might mean supporting students who have identified learning needs to settle in, and that goes for all of our students as well, or simply really helping students at the very beginning when they join college to know where things are and who is who and who to go to receive help. So especially during the first few weeks of term. So likewise, the last point there is we also work very hard to contribute to the wider college experience for all of our students. And we play a big role in cross-college activities, developing the college community, if you like, as well as obviously supporting them positively to move to the next stage, whether that is a university, a further course at the college, a job, or perhaps an apprenticeship. Just before, as I said, we do a quick sort of canter through our services to give you an idea of what's on offer. Just to say that it's worth mentioning that really what we're going to do is focus on Strodes College in normal times and the work that we do on a normal basis with all of our students. Of course, at the moment, we're not in normal times. But I just wanted to reassure you really that, well, first of all, we hope that in September we'll be back to normal. But just to reassure you really that if we are in any sort of lockdown situation again, we continue to offer all of our support services online or by phone or by email as we are now. And we do everything possible to maintain the same high level support we offer when students are actually in the building. And as you can see on the slide, these are some of the things that we've been doing, including student enrichment over the last few months. and continue to do so at the moment during our lockdown. Key part of our culture and approach at the sixth form, and that's obviously at Strodes College and our sister sixth form college, Windsor College, is to work in partnership with parents and carers. And we may have students on the line, but I'm sure we've got many parents and carers as well. So that's really, really important to us at Strodes College. We find this approach is really welcomed by parents and carers, and also actually by the students themselves, particularly when they first join the college and perhaps are feeling a little bit anxious. So we want to work in real partnership with parents and carers, and really believe that this is an effective way to ensure that our learners, our students, are successful. Particularly your help to tackle any issues of concern with students as they make that difficult and challenging transition to college from school, and to, of course, a more adult and independent environment. On the slide that we're looking at the moment, you can see some of the ways we will keep in contact with you. And obviously, if your students decide to enroll at the college, we'll give you a lot more detail about how these will work. On our next slide, you will see a screenshot of our parent portal. I know that's a bit tricky to see, but just really as an aid memoir to myself, one of the key ways we'll communicate with you is through this digital parent portal. We'll tell you how to join, etc. If your students enroll, but this is somewhere where you, the parents, can view your students' timetable, as well as check attendance. And of course, it's the way that you'll receive progress reports, academic reports on your students. What I'd like to do now is to hand over to Naomi, our Head of Learner Services. Naomi works closely with me, and she's going to run through some of the support areas that she's responsible for across the college. So Naomi, over to you now.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Bernadette. So I'm Naomi Bailey, Head of Learner Services. Here at Strodes College, we have a fantastic team whose primary function is to ensure the success of each of our students by offering support in a number of areas. You see on the slide here, I've listed just a few examples of those. We have a dedicated office in our student centre where students can come and speak to us at any time about any of the issues they're facing. So as a few examples, some of the key things that we support students with, we have financial support team, and they really are experts at advising on the most effective travel methods to college, the most cost-effective ways and the quickest and most effective routes for travelling. And they also will guide students and parents and carers through applying for financial support. So those families who have a low household income may be eligible for support with the compulsory cost of books, equipment and travel. Families who are also in receipt of certain household benefits may also be entitled to free college meals. So the college gives £3 a day for students to spend in our on-site cafes using our cashless catering systems. Our attendance officers work with parents and students to process absences. They also work alongside the tutorial team to monitor student wellbeing, and with the wider curriculum teams to signpost individuals to other internal and external services as needed. The college currently operates 2 different initiatives to support with access to IT whilst at home. This has been particularly important during the periods of remote learning over the last year and has enabled many of our learners to continue to attend lessons and complete their work. The leasing scheme, which we hope to continue from September, enables students to purchase a competitively priced device on a payment plan. And that goes with then the students will own those devices at the end of the plan. And the plans are designed around the type of study and length of study that the students are undertaking. Our loan scheme offers students the opportunity to borrow a device, and that can be for shorter or for longer periods depending on their need. We also have a fantastic learning centre in the heart of the main building that offers a range of physical and digital resources, including core text, DVDs, magazines and newspapers. We work with the students in the Learning Centre to raise awareness on a number of key themes such as Black History Month, Internet Safety and International Women's Days. So really key themes that we want to help develop students' understanding of the wider world. And throughout the year, Our study skills officers work with groups and individual students to develop skills in essay writing, exam practice, revision technique, and much more. Our centre has a range of quiet and silent study spaces and also provides access to IT. So it's an excellent environment for students to undertake independent study between their lessons. I just want to touch briefly on our careers and employability team as well. So they are here to support students through their time at the college, and that can be with anything relating to planning for their future. Students can make a one-to-one appointment. They can have one or more than one, as many as they need, at any point during their time with us. And that is for impartial, confidential guidance session, which covers anything from progression pathways, support with CV writing or job applications, for searching for work placements, and much more. We also produce regular careers bulletins, which allow the team to keep students, parents, and carers up to date with all of the latest developments and opportunities that might interest students. The careers team also work closely with our tutorial team, and that is to support those mainly who are looking to progress to university, and run a programme of events and speakers, including our large higher education and future pathway fairs. These typically see for each fair 60 universities for the higher education fair, and over 60 employers, colleges, or training providers that come and visit us on site each year. And they talk to students about all of the opportunities that they have to offer. In addition, our online Unifrog platform allows students to access a fantastic range of resources to seek out apprenticeships, shortlist universities, create CVs, and find free online massive courses such as our MOOCs, the massive online open community courses. And that really helps them to further develop their subject knowledge and understand and about things that interest them. This chart shows the destination for Strodes College students who completed their studies in July 2020. Here you can see the different breakdown, but we have strong progression pathways from level 2 to level 3, and with the majority of our students at level 3 moving into university, as you can see. I've mentioned previously that we have a strong support programme for those students wishing to apply for university, and that starts at the end of the first academic year. College is really passionate about raising aspirations within our student body, and we have a number of activities to support them to excel and reach their potential. Each year, we see an increasing number of students moving on to higher and middle tariff universities, with more being accepted from Strodes locally to Royal Holloway, Strawberry Hill College, which is part of the University of Surrey, and St Mary's University. Equally, for those who are keen to explore alternative pathways, we actively promote apprenticeships, employment opportunities, and other training programs through our events, workshops, and our careers bulletins, as I've said. Just briefly touching on college life, so the broader student experience. We have excellent facilities at Strodes College, so whether you're interested in taking part in sporting activities or creative art activities, we have a range of experiences to enhance our students' time with us. We work with our student leaders to ensure that we are exploring facilities and opportunities in the area where possible, as well as encouraging students to develop their own clubs and societies. This really offers them a place to discuss, share, and debate a number of areas that they are passionate about and meet like-minded individuals. In the past, we have seen LGBTQ+ groups, politics societies, film and book clubs, as well as environmental groups. Student Services also runs a series of events that welcome students into the college community during the first few weeks and throughout the year. These are our Freshers' Fair, Christmas Fair, and Summer Fairs. We also host cross-college events, such as our annual Safe Drive, Stay Alive road safety seminars. These really ensure that students embrace our college community. The community is at the heart of everything that we do, and participation helps young people to develop key employability skills, such as leadership and communication. It helps build resilience and well-being, and can be vital when writing supporting statements for things like university and employment. Bernadette will talk to you a little bit more in a moment about how we embrace our student views and promote democratic participation. Just finally from me, in addition to the activities that we do on site, here are just a few examples of some of the recent trips and visits that students have undertaken at Strodes. Trips and visits are a key part of the college experience. Many of our students enhance their courses with valuable excursions, and that helps to develop their knowledge and understanding as well. Trips are led by individual curriculum areas, and that helps to underpin their subject content and will often be linked into individual course elements. So that's it for me at the moment. Thank you all for listening. I'll hand back to Bernadette, and of course we'll be on the line for any questions at the end. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Naomi. And just to say to everyone that there is a college virtual tour, I believe, on the website. It's very difficult to get a sense of our facilities and things without coming to the college, and we're very sorry that you can't. But do check out the website for the virtual tour, and then you can see what Naomi's been talking about. Okay, so to press on, Naomi has said that I'm going to talk about some other areas, but starting off an area that I'm particularly passionate about and which is very important in the college, which is listening to our learners. As Naomi has said, and I agree, that this is a really important area because it helps students develop effective citizenship skills and good practices about voting and democratic processes, which they will take into future life. But it's also really important because it gives us crucial and real feedback about how we can improve the student experience at the college. On this slide, you can see some of the formal representative structures that we have in place at the college to support this ambition. And I hope that you heard from some of our students earlier on in Amanda's presentation, but I'm really proud of all our learners at Strodes College and how very seriously they take their roles when we ask them for feedback. Certainly when our students act as ambassadors, which they would normally be doing during an open evening, they are the ones that really sell the college to yourselves. If we just move on to this slide here, where you can see some of our learner voice activities in action, really, just to give you a little illustration. On the left-hand side, you can see one of our more recent student union presidents chairing a whole college debate about Brexit. On the right, you can see this is when we had Philip Hammond as our MP, the tall young man next to Philip Hammond, who of course was Chancellor of the Exchequer at the time, chaired an all-student debate, asking him questions about the general election and his views on young people and funding for further education. And they were absolutely brilliant, and was, you know, he was a real rival to David Dimbleby, etc., for that sort of role. And then you can see some illustrations of the feedback that we give to students, and obviously some students in action expressing their voices. I think it's really important to me that we listen very hard to what our learners say and respond to their concerns wherever possible, and certainly explain to them if we can't do everything that they are asking for. Senior management are very involved in listening to this and take it all very seriously as well. So what I'd like to do now in the last few slides is turn to a couple of other important support areas that we offer in Strodes College before we wrap up and take any questions. So the first area is our personal tutoring provision at the college. Again, I have overall responsibility for this, and it's one that I'm particularly proud of at the college. It really is support, really, I suppose, that kicks in once the students have actually joined the college. I think the first thing to say is that all of our full-time students have an allocated personal tutor who will be with them throughout their time at college, from induction through to progression to university or a job, etc. So possibly for 2 years. On this slide, you can see some of the work that the personal tutors are responsible for. The key areas being the core studies programme, which all students have on their timetables, usually 1.5 hours per week, and which they are expected to attend as part of their study programme. The programme, the core studies programme, covers a wide variety of issues, not least helping to settle students into college at the start, helping with careers and employability and joining up with Naomi's careers team, and of course access to information about wider college life and opportunities. The personal tutor also works with students on a one-to-one basis to review their whole experience, as well as their academic progress and their attendance. And to this end, we have scheduled slots across the year when students will have a one-to-one review appointment with their tutors. And at this meeting, targets for stretch and challenge, or ones related to academic or pastoral concerns, will be set and then monitored by the tutor with the student over the following weeks. So particularly for students on mixed subject programs, for example, a mixed A-level program, the personal tutor has a crucial overview of how students are doing right across the board. And parents and carers can expect personal tutors to be in touch with yourselves at an early point to introduce themselves to you. And you can see we also have a Meet the Tutor evening where you'll be invited, we hope, into college to meet personal tutors, and that will be in September. So to our final area that I'd like to do a just quick overview of is the additional learning support that we offer at the college. So additional learning support. This is another area of significant importance to many of our students. And it relates really to the support we offer to students who need extra help with their learning. That is over and beyond what the normal help that teachers, personal tutors will be given. And it particularly relates to students with specific identified learning support needs. I'm sure most of you will have an idea already of what additional learning support is. But just to say at Strodes College, we have a great team working alongside curriculum staff teachers to really ensure that appropriate and personalised support for effective learning is put in place to help any student who is finding learning difficult or challenging. As I mentioned earlier on, we also have Alison Hiskett, our learning support manager at Strodes, on the live chat, and she can pick up anything specific through that live chat or at the end if people raise questions. We will also be giving you, as I've said, her contact details, and she can pick up anything more complex that you might like to raise. I'm sure some of you will already have made contact with the college, particularly if your son or daughter has an educational health care and support plan. On this slide here, you can see some of the activities our learning support team offer. It's not absolutely comprehensive, but it gives you an idea of the sorts of things that our team are working with the teachers and other support staff on. Once again, the support is offered right across the whole of the learner's time at college, beginning even before they join the college at the interview and enrolment stage. And then during the time a young person remains with us, possibly for 2 or even 3 years. Clearly, the support, as I've already said, is adapted to reflect the individual needs of our students at any particular times. And you can obviously see that as part of that, we've got exam access arrangements, which are mentioned there at the bottom. As I've already mentioned earlier in our presentation, support staff work very closely with academic and personal tutoring staff, and the learning support team led by Alison ensures that there is an excellent join up and communication between everyone concerned with a learner to ensure that students feel really welcome to Strodes College and are well supported and ultimately happy and successful with us. Here on the next slide, as I've mentioned earlier on, you'll be able to see the contact details of Alison and our director and the more generic email address. So please, please, please don't hesitate to contact us if there's any concerns related to that. I also think that this presentation is being recorded and is available on the website afterwards should you need to refer to it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's a quick canter through some of the support areas that we offer at the college. That really concludes the things that we want to formally say. So thank you very much from myself and Naomi for listening, and we're very happy to take any questions. I think the other thing to say is that there's our own email addresses there in front of you. And I would invite you, if you would like to email myself or Naomi at any point, do please feel free to do that. So thank you again, and over to Fiona to share any questions that might have come through. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Bernadette, and thank you, Naomi. That was really helpful. While that slide is on the screen, if anybody's interested, you might just want to take a photo of that screen, and then you've got the email addresses there on your phones. We've got a good number of questions that have come through. First of all, somebody's asking about the day. Is it a set day with the same timetables, or does it vary?
Okay, so a really good question. At the moment, so students on, I mean, this is in normal times. Things are slightly adjusted at the moment while we're on remote learning. But assuming we go back to normal times, the college day is 8:45 to 4 o'clock. And I think the big difference between schools and college is that students don't have every hour of every day occupied with classes. They will have, let's say you're doing a 3 A-level program, you will have 3 90-minute sessions per week for each subject. Then you'll have things like core studies, and then you will have time on your timetable, maybe for additional activities, certainly independent studies. So that the college day is 8:45 to 4, but students' timetables will vary and classes will be scattered across the 5 days. So there might be some slots, some afternoons where students are free, and obviously we can talk to students how best to use that time.
Great, thank you. Have somebody else mentioning that they have an EHCP. What's our usual process for smooth transition?
So I think if you haven't already been in contact with Alison Hiskett, I would suggest that you communicate with her, and she can go through all the details about that. So she does a lot of work. I talked about transition and support even before students start college, and that's at the interview stage, and even before the interview stage, certainly through into enrolment and induction. And Alison and her team will work very hard to do all the formal part of the process, the EHCP consultation process, to look at the needs of the students and what can be put in place. But Alison would be best placed and would be very keen if you are seriously applying to college for September start. We really need to get that underway with the local authority and have those discussions. So I would suggest that you pop an email through to Alison as soon as possible.
Great. I've just asked that person to leave their details here, and then I can pass them over to Alison.
Sure, absolutely.
Couple of other questions around destinations. Do we have any idea how many of our students go on to do medicine?
So if I can answer that question, so again, do chip in, Naomi. We do have specific support, I should say, first of all, for students that are applying to very selective universities, so Russell Group universities, but also Oxford and Cambridge, and for very competitive courses, medicine and vets. I think it varies over the years. Just to say that we're crunching the data for applications for next year's entry to university, but I'm very pleased to say that we've got 4 students that are going to Oxbridge who've been offered places at Oxford and Cambridge, and I believe that we had 2 or 3, I don't know off the top of my head, but 2 or 3 who went on to do medicine or medical related degrees last academic year. But I think it very much depends. I suspect that with remote lockdown, the sort of work experience that some students have always been asked for is going to be very difficult to get. We know there is some remote stuff that's being offered, but that might affect students' desire or ability to progress onto that. But just to reassure parents that we do provide support for any students wanting to apply for those sorts of courses.
And what about A-level students that have gone on to employment? Do we have any examples there of people that have maybe gone on to training programs or apprenticeships?
So Naomi, I don't know if you want to pick this up, but in the slides we gave you a little pie chart showing you the proportions. I think it's worth saying that Last year, well, a bit of a trend has been more students going on to apprenticeships as we've promoted it really and become more confident. Of course, we've now got degree apprenticeships which are being offered and which is becoming a big option for students. I think it's worth noting that for next year, you won't be surprised to know that I would say 80% of our second year cohort have applied for university, and that might be a sign of the time. So we do all the support required for students applying for jobs. We have live access to apprenticeship vacancies through Unifrog, and we get some students going on to some very prestigious apprenticeships. Some of the really, blue chip companies in the city have great apprenticeship programs, and obviously we draw those to students' attention. Naomi mentioned the careers bulletin, and so opportunities for all sorts of things are promoted to students in that, and also parents. I don't know, Naomi, did you want to come in on that?
So we are still looking at all the data at the moment for the current leavers. But I mean, what I would say is if there's anything you want to know about specifically, if you drop me an email, I can't get the data for you at the minute because I've got the presentation on the screen, otherwise I'd give it to you live. But if you want to know anything specific, please drop me an email and I'll be happy to share any information about progression options and pathways that have happened in previous years. But what Bernadette says is right. The picture is shifting a little bit in terms of what students are opting to do, and that's partly because of the impact of COVID on the university experience and changes in fees and things like that. So there are a lot more options, but we talk to all of our students about the diversity and the benefits of each of the different pathways.
Can I just chip in another thought that parents and carers may not know, but we're very closely linked with the Coopers Company, which is, I think its origins back to the medieval guild time, but we have very close relations historically and financially with that group. And we have a Coopers bursary that we offer to our students. But it really reminds me that through Coopers, which really nowadays is lots of people from city firms represented on that, and it's a great opportunity. We have the Cooper's Apprentice, which really students can put themselves forward for, and that's a great way to network with city companies. And a number of our apprentices who've taken that role have had great opportunities to move into jobs in the city, in the middle of London. So we do everything possible to support the students to wherever they want to go, really.
Thank you. Somebody's asking about sports opportunities available to students after they finish at Strodes. After they finish,
or while they're at college?
After they're finished is what the person.
Oh, you mean after the college day? I think is possibly.
Perhaps.
Yeah. So yeah, if you haven't visited Strodes College, I think just to describe it and encourage you to do the virtual tour. But we have amazing sports fields at the back of the college. It's a real privilege really to have the wonderful fields where we offer rugby, mixed rugby, female rugby, male rugby, football. We have a basketball team, we have a college gym. So if students are very keen and want to be in the college team, we very much encourage that, and we have sports trials. And if students are doing sports A Levels or BTECs, sports studies BTECs, we would be expecting you to do active sport, and you'll be asked about that at interview and enrolment, so that we can make sure you're timetabled in order to go on fixtures on a Wednesday afternoon. So we very much encourage it. Lots of students come to the college already being trampolining champions or golf champions we've had. And of course, Wednesday afternoon is an opportunity to continue to do that. And we very much encourage that. And if students are in that position, they should really let us know, because that's an important thing to celebrate. And we'll do everything possible to support students with those sort of wider sporting ambitions.
Okay, and I think our last question for today, an interesting one. I hope you have the answer. Why is Strodes classed as a sixth form college and not a sixth form or a college?
Legal designation. I'm not quite sure if I fully understand the question. So we're not a sixth form of a school. We are a freestanding 16 to 19 organisation, so it's to do with our legal status. We are different from a general FE college, and again, it's a different legal status. General FE colleges tend to be more vocational, have a range of wider vocational and practical subjects. I think it's probably a sixth form college, like I said, has a legal status, but it also designates a particular culture, I suppose, to differentiate it from a school sixth form, which is one thing, but also maybe a general FE college. I'm sure that's a bit waffly, but that's what I would say, Fiona.
Okay, thank you. No, that made sense to me. So that's great. Okay, thank you so much. I think that wraps up our session now. We're over time. The live chat on the website has now finished. However, our admissions team are online every day from 10 till 4. And if you want to email Bernadette or Naomi, their email addresses are on the screen now. And thank you very much for that interesting presentation.
And thank you, everybody. And do check out the virtual tour. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.